Hey everyone, Jordan here back with more reading from The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Missed the past couple days. I wasn't even in the house yesterday until about 10:30 p.m. So that was a fun day. So tonight, what is he talking about in his thing? He actually starts out with a fun little story just to give an analogy of what he wants to talk about and how you wake up in bed 6:30 and you rest there for a little bit and then you stick out your foot. It's really cold. So you think, well, maybe I should stay in bed. No. I said I'm gonna get up at this time. I'm gonna go do my push-ups. I'm gonna do my thinking. Gotta do my success stuff. Then you're like, well, but it's so cold. Well, what if I compromise? Maybe I'll just catch up on the stuff on TV. And says, you reach for the remote, and he says, you just chose the direction of your life. That's it. And he says, you can freak out as much as you want, but he wants to make it hit hard in what he's trying to teach in this chapter here. In that we want to think that we're heading in a straight line in our lives when there's no straight line at all. Straight lines don't exist. You're moving in a curve. Your curve is in one direction or the other. And if I grab the book here, you can easily see the curve that he's talking about right there. The first one is, of course, the compound effect of the money of the rich son. And then he says your life is the exact same. He says 5% one way or 95% the other way. And he says there's no such thing as moving in a straight line. You're either moving forward in a very successful manner, or you're moving downward, I guess upward in a successful, or downward in an unsuccessful manner. And if you think about it, things don't ever really stay the same. They're either starting to get worse and worse, either more bills, more problems at work, worse relationships, or things are getting better. And this goes back to my experience this past few months, and that I was doing good and then I was doing bad. And that it wasn't, I stayed even keel. It's like I started to do better, but then I started to fall down again. It's like it is that way. You're either moving up or you're moving down. And so like, even approaching this book, I've already experienced that. Just barely. While reading this book and doing these videos, I've already experienced that, yes, you move up or you move down. And think about it. Things do. They tend to either get worse or they tend to get better. There's no, like, just staying the same all the way through. And so that's what we have. And he says sometimes it's a real problem because we're fighting against such strong negativity. He says growing up we hear 20,000 no's and 5,000 yeses. And it kind of doesn't even stop there. Think of how many negative things or no's you could call them you hear in your life, just going through work, being the people you're around, your friends, your spouse, just those different things. And how many yeses do you hear? How many positive things do you talk about? When something bad happens to you, how much do you talk about that versus when something good happens to you? How much do you share that? And if that's what you're doing, think about everyone else that's around you. Everyone else is just sharing their negativity and you're doing the same. And then you sometimes share your good things. And that goes back and that influences which way you're heading. And so 95% of our population is sharing more negativity than they are sharing their positivity. And that influences the way that you move and the way that we move as a society in life. And it's rather interesting. And then in the final part that he's talking about, and then he goes on to express just how everything coincides together, is the difference between the two, and those that are always just focused on the positivity and those that are mainly focused on the negativity, is how we choose to live our lives. Whether we want to play the blame game or we take responsibility. He says it's fine. There are things that happen in our life that we can't control. That's the way it works. Tons of terrible things will always happen. It's just the way life is. But those that are focused on the positivity, they take responsibility and say, my fault, and I'm going to move forward. And there's a very poetic phrase in there from a Werner Erhard. I think I'm pronouncing that terrible, but it's Werner Erhard, who's author on psychological improvement and other stuff like that. And it was very poetic about it, but I'm going to give it to you in a better, well, it might maybe a little easier for me to understand, I guess, and for most people. But how it's not that it's right or wrong to say that that was my fault just because of whatever, but it's empowering. Whether or not it was your fault of whatever happened to you, because there are many instances where it technically wasn't your fault, but just by saying that was my fault, it's not whether it's right or wrong, it simply empowers us to move forward and to do what we need to do. Because if we take the blame and put it on something else, then we can't do anything about it. And if we focus on, and that goes back to, you focus on that, and if you take away your power and give it to somebody else, then you're moving down. And that's the sort of stuff that I did. Like, I was not, like, I don't know if I was, well, yeah, I was probably blaming, but it was just the slight, small lapses in judgment. The small choices to not do something that I knew I should have done. That caused me to fall back down. And now, like, I've committed and I've started to do good things, putting money away, doing my happy habits every night with my wife now. Meditation is a really good thing to do. And reading just about every day now. Like, I'm doing a lot better with these videos than I was before. But what about my mornings? Because the mornings really set up what you can do. And yeah, it does help to get a good night's sleep and get to bed at a good time. But if I commit to waking up at 7 o'clock every morning, which for successful people, that's actually really late. They normally wake up at 6 or earlier. But 7's a good start, because then I can move forward from there. But if I choose to wake up at 7 every morning and I don't do it, that's a small lapse in judgment, and that can affect what I'm able to get done for the day. I mean, I have homework now that I got to look forward to. I still have work, and then I'm trying to do these videos. As an accountability and taking that responsibility, I guess I would be doing. And so I'm committing to waking up at 7 o'clock every morning, no matter what. And that's something I need to hold myself to. And if I don't, then I could start falling down again, just as I did before. And that's not a path that I want to take. Like I said, I'm on my path, my road to be a millionaire, in whatever form that takes. Using these books and sharing my experiences with you. But I have to really think, like, I need to be fully committed to that. If I'm going to say I'm going to wake up at 7 and then I'm going to improve from there, wake up earlier every day to get more done, do better, and improve on who I am and what I can do, then that's what I need to do. That's what I need to not just commit to, but take responsibility and show that I can do it. Because if I show myself that I can do it, then I can improve. So that's my commitment from here forward. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. So thank you all for this tonight. And y'all have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow with more reading. Take care.